to go to Mike at Ormond Beach. Mike, how are you?
Doing pretty good, Basil. I'm looking at the QID, and do you think it might be ready to nibble on a little bit, like today or soon?
So, okay, let me just go through this. We were fortunate in being short. This is the subscribers to my opening call. Less than a point from the all-time high of the QQQs. The high was 175.21. We got short that very morning just before the bell, and within an hour it made its high. So we're within less than a point of the high, and we ran down, took some profits on the way down. And this time I thought we'd try to hold as long as we could, but we did get stopped out this morning. So this morning's the remaining portion was about a 16% profit. Now I'm looking at it, and it's in leg C. Here again, I have to consider the strength, not the MACD and stochastic. I have to consider that the strength has to be. I have to place a plus. I'm sorry, an up arrow at the bottom of the low that was made at 153.88. We're at 165, 12 points higher. I'm calling this a leg C. We've gone into. Let me just check this out. We haven't filled the gap. The gap is from the high of the low of the 21st of March at 166.19. The high today is 165.86. I suspect that that's going to be filled. So the question is, will there be a reversal? And the stochastic's only at 70%, it's not 80%. So technically, I shouldn't put the up arrow. I have to because of the gap up today in leg C, tackling all that resistance on the left side. I think there'll at least be a leg D to come this week. So to answer your question, I would wait on the QID.
Okay.
What has changed for me is that the stochastic never went to the single digits. I had thought, and I'm still of the opinion based on the SMHs, which we are still long, the SMHs, the semiconductor index, I'm looking to see when they stall, because the SMHs are really important in relation to what the QQQ is doing. And if I get a clue that the SMHs have run out of steam on the upside, that's where I think the Qs will be more vulnerable. I would say that you've got, and right now, if you said to me, would I short, I'd say, I think we're very close to at least a little bit of an intraday pullback. Mm-hmm. But I would hesitate with the technical strength. You see, the other day we were looking at the prices stalling, even though the technicals were running. Look at the way the stochastic has gone from, let's see, it went down to stochastic. So the stochastic went down to 14% and is now at 70%. And yet, you've got, today's the first day you've got a commensurate move that's, I always think I'm a clarinetist, I'm not a professional player anymore, but I used to be. And I always, when I was teaching, I would always say, the amount of pressure that you use, the amount of torque or energy or momentum, you should hear exactly within a few percentage the vibration of your reed on the clarinet to give you that sound, so that if you're pushing 2x, you should get about 2x worth of sound. If you're pushing 3x, you should get about 3x worth of sound. As soon as you back away, it should come down. What I was looking at up until yesterday is that, boy, yeah, you saw this technical strengthen, the MACD had turned positive, and all it was doing was walking the 9-period moving average. The Qs were already acting very, they were lagging. And now they've caught up, and I think the catch-up has another couple of days to go, and then we'll look at it. But now what I'm looking at is that the rising low of 150.13 to 153.88 3 weeks ago, I think we're looking at the 150, I would say the 155 to 157 area is really going to be the support level that I'm looking at over the coming weeks, because what we've seen over the last few days, especially what we saw all of last week, I think you could concur with me, that all the news events that saw those very sharp sell-offs in the morning or even later in the day were just in a trading range. They felt terrible. And the fact that we survived 3 pretty serious political, socio, and economic news-related, really bad news tsunamis in terms of news, the market just shrugged it off and said, yeah, we can handle that. So now it's going to take it's going to take more economic news, maybe talk of maybe a recession or whatever it is that they talk about, or interest rates. Other things are going to have to happen now. And until that happens, I think you've got a bias of support and some upward momentum. So my answer is to the question I had yesterday about the market. I think that the low that was made in February the 9th is going to take an absolute a plethora of really negative and sustained news, with the VIX not trading now in the 15s, back in the mid-teens, but back in the 19s to 21 area for the market to really pull back sharply. So my answer to you is I'd hold off on the QID, even though, on a short-term basis, near-term basis, let's say over a 6 to 10 hour period of market. Yeah, you could get the pullback. I think too many people now are going to have to start to cover short positions, and that says that there's some support. I hope that answers your question in a way that you can look at it fundamentally. Also, at 165, if it pulls back, if it closes under 164.80, then perhaps it could be a little bit deeper pullback, but I still call it just a pullback intra-week, more like a couple of days or a day and a half of a consolidation. I think there's a little bit more buying pressure still to come.
Another question that's related to this, do you think at this point, after what happened today, that we've seen the residual low in the markets, or do you think that still is yet to come?
Yeah, now what I said is it's usually, it used to be a 6 to 8 week period before you get the residual low. That changed over the last few years. Also, we haven't really had an internal low with a residual low for quite some time. So to answer your question, the way I'm looking at the Qs right now, I had said that I thought there'll be a series of lows that come in. They might be higher, they might be lower, but they'll be going down towards the 200 period moving average. In the Qs case, that's at 154. Now I'm going to say to you, I don't know what it's going to take, because if you look at the bank stocks, the banks have usually held very well through this whole period. Now they're not doing so. Goldman comes out with earnings today, right, and it was sharply high, or quite about 2 points higher. Now it's lower. So it's a real mixed market. But as long as there's a rotation going on into the sectors that people want to buy, if I look at my Dow Quartet, I looked at them last night. GE wasn't acting very well. IBM has news after the bell, so I think it's after the bell today. That might impact it, but it wasn't acting very well. Triple M wasn't. It was acting terribly, and United Technologies wasn't. So this is very, in a way, it's stock and sector specific. And what I think I'm looking, look at Triple M, it's probably up. Yep, it's only, now it's up 374. Nice move. So I'm looking to see, is there now the start of a cyclical move in these laggards like United Technologies and Triple M? So to answer your question, it's rotational, and because it's